What's up, everybody? We are back again, episode 2. We're out here being consistent. We're out here dropping weekly. We're out here doing our thing. Dennis, how are you feeling?
I'm doing good, man.
That's
Just
good. That's
outside the
good.
square circle.
Yes,
Doing
sir.
it.
Outside the Squared Circle, episode 2. Again, you can find us currently right now. We are up on iTunes. We are up on YouTube. We are up on Spotify. I will continue to look to see where else we can go, but I feel SoundCloud as well. But I feel like those 4 kind of tackle pretty much everybody. So if you guys do want us on another streaming service, let me know, and I'll look into getting us on that. But I feel for now those 4 are kind of the main 4. But we're going to start off here with what everyone's talking about. I don't think you can avoid it. I think it's there, and I think there's a ton to talk about in regards to it. Dennis, we're going to get into some Canelo Jacobs aftermath talk. Firstly, before we dig even too deep on specifics, what were your overall thoughts on the fight, and how did you score it?
Well, I scored the fight. This is the thing. I understand because the rounds were close. I understand that people don't see it the way I see it.
Right.
Me, I had it fairly close. I almost had it to where it could have been a draw.
Right.
But I do see 7-5 Canelo away because that's just a round away. If some people had it 8-4, I can understand it. And the reason why people did that is because in the beginning, Jacob started off pretty slow, filling them out. Okay, this is the thing. I look at the fight, I analyze the fight, and I go, was Jacobs just analyzing him? Did he take a little while longer to get used to Canelo because Canelo brought his defense there? Canelo's really seasoned. He looks really seasoned now.
He does.
So I wanted three things. Did Jacobs, was he lost? Was Canelo just, did Canelo lose him in the sauce? Did it take him a little longer to fill him out? Or, my last thing I wonder, was he afraid of Canelo's power? Because look, I had a draw, and I'll bring this up because it's gonna coincide with my point. I had the Gennady Golovkin fight a tie with Jacobs, but the reason why most people say Triple G won is because of the knockdown.
Right.
That was the deciding factor in giving him the win. I understand that. Let's play this here. Canelo, he can punch. He's not necessarily a one-punch knockout guy. He has done that, but we definitely know if you eat too many of Canelo shots, X a Kirkland. You know what I mean?
Right.
What happened if you eat too many Canelo shots? Being that Danny Jacobs doesn't have the best chin, was in the back of Danny Jacobs' mind, I've been dropped by lesser competition. I brought that up. I've been dropped by Triple G. We've seen Canelo with Triple G. He can stand there with him, and he even rocked Triple G at times. So was he like, you know what? I'm not going to engage as much because it was times where I was yelling at my TV like, yo, Jacob, just throw punches. Because his trainer was telling him too, like, you got to be more active. You got to go get it.
Right.
Just throw punches. Go in there. I'll let you bring up the southpaw, but just go in there, be more active, let your hands go. And he wasn't doing that right away. And I want to know why, because when he did it, he was winning rounds. So I want to know, why wasn't he always doing it? Was it because he was worried about what was coming back from Canelo, so he wasn't too quick to do that? Because Canelo got heat and he knew his chin at the greatest, and he wasn't trying to get dropped again? Or was it that Canelo's so seasoned, so tricky that the punches when he was throwing, he just wasn't there and he couldn't get to him? So I wanted 2 different things. I don't know. I wasn't in there. We can always decide. We can always come up with what we want to, but we wasn't in there with him.
Right.
But I understand why, even though I had it a draw, I understand why people say Canelo won. And I'm not arguing it. I'm not debating it. It's not one of the things where I say, oh, you're wrong. But you know what? Some of those rounds were really close. It's just what you look for.
Yeah. I think, I scored at 8-4 Canelo. And I think 6 rounds was the absolute most you can give Jacobs. To your point, the early rounds were close and neither did too much. So if you swung a few of those Jacobs' way, 6-6 is a pretty easy card you could get to. I think once round 6 and 7 came along, the rounds were pretty easy to score from there on in. First 4 or 5 were tough. I did have it 8-4 Canelo, and I had a lot of the same questions as you, and I actually have a take that I'm interested in hearing from you, what you think about it. Because I was having the same questions. Why isn't Jacobs letting his hands go? Is it the power? Is it he's getting sick of missing so many punches? Because Canelo, like you said, he looks seasoned. He looks slick in there. His head movement, his hip movement was great. His upper body movement in general. Even his legs didn't look that bad. He cut off the ring quite well, better than we're used to. Um, and it dawned on me, while we'll never know the exact answer, Canelo was starting to have that Floyd Mayweather effect on his opponents, where
Yeah.
it's like you look at them in the ring and you're asking yourself, why isn't this dude doing more right now? Because Floyd wasn't never very active in terms of his, punches thrown, and Canelo is
Nope.
that way as well.
He
But
would
it's
just
like,
sharpshoot you.
right, and that's the thing. And that's what I was gonna get to. I think it's a combination of obviously his power. Canelo has good but not great power, but enough that if you get caught, either on a clean counter or coming in, you could get knocked down or knocked out, right? So he has respectable power. But I think to a bigger point to that, I think it's his ability to control the distance. That was the biggest defining factor of this fight for me, was that Jacobs didn't, and me and you both kind of touched on this going into the fight. Where is Jacobs going to fight? Is he going to fight long range? Is he going to fight close range? Is he going to fight mid range? And he just could not seem to find his range all night. He had it in spurts, but Canelo seemed to just be doing the small things that really bothered Jacobs. And to my point now, Canelo's really starting to have that Floyd Mayweather effect, where it's like sometimes it doesn't even look like he's doing anything special, but his opponent is refusing to engage with him.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, like it makes you feel like Jacobs, um, it made me feel like Jacobs lost the fight. Canelo didn't win the fight. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when this is a constant throughout these fights, that's not a coincidence. It kind of felt the same way in the second fight against Triple G with Canelo. It was like, man, like Triple G really isn't going to the body. He's not letting his hands go like he did the first. There's a reason for that. And it was the same thing with Floyd Mayweather. A lot of people always talked about just let your hands go. And then the time you saw it, it made for an entertaining fight with Chino Maidana. But not everyone's built like that. And two, there's a reason that more fighters than not are not, you know what I mean, just throwing caution to the wind. And so it's really, really cool to me to see the progression of Canelo Alvarez, to go from this young guy who everyone seemed to, think he was overhyped, to this seasoned veteran who just finds ways to win. And, seeing his boxing ability, especially since his loss to Floyd Mayweather, get to where it is now. So really, to continue on with this, and if you want to touch on the southpaw point, you can. What did you think? Because we talked a little bit offline about this. What did you think about Jacob's game plan, just in general?
I thought his game, like I said, I thought his game plan, like I thought listening to his coach, his trainer, he was giving him good advice. Later on, he was telling him be more aggressive,
Yeah.
double up on the jab. Like when he was telling them that, he was giving them good advice. But from the start on, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if his trainer told him, hey, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna switch back and forth. We're gonna, give him different looks. That way, he's not gonna be able to. You're not gonna be a steady target from to hit you. I don't know if that was the case, but I would have told him just going. Like, I would have told him to go in there, just like I said, straight at him, orthodox. Come fight out of the cannon. Melt yourself on top of him. Stop those body punches. Tie him up when you're on the inside. Then go back to being aggressive, outwork him. Because I'm not gonna try to tell my guy, oh, we gotta knock Canelo out. But I'm damn sure gonna say we're gonna outwork him.
Right.
So and you had like to beat this thing to beat Canelo. We know. Look, I'm gonna say it. Judges love Canelo. I mean, you know what I mean. They do. So if you're not gonna knock him out, you better damn sure out hustle, outwork him, and make it known that you came to take this title. And that's what I would have told. And he just didn't do that. Now, that's all I'm saying. Like Jacobs, he doesn't strike me as an unintelligent fighter, but he fought an unintelligent fight.
Yeah. And seeing that's and I think you hit the nail on the head with that last sentence, especially. That's what bothered me the most, was that going into the fight, me and you had both said it. he's a student of the game. He's not dumb. He has a high IQ. And I sometimes think that can come back to bite boxers and also just athletes in the ass in general. Like, I think he got into this point where he was overthinking a little bit. You know what I mean? Where kind of how you said, like, was he thinking about the power? Was he thinking about this? And because he knows so much, he probably was thinking about all that. And sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes you need to just implement your game plan and keep moving forward. But I know he got caught with a few pretty big left hooks early in the fight. Granted, not much happened very early, but he overextended himself on a couple of straight right hands that missed, and Canelo countered him. And I think that was discouraging for him early on. I will say, the other thing that I love that his trainer said, it was like round 2 or 3 where he told him, he said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. It was a close round, but because it was close, Canelo won that round. Like, you didn't win that round. So we have to go in with this mindset that we can't make this shit close. You can't at the end of the fight say, hey, I thought I outboxed him. I thought my technique was good, because that's not going to be enough to beat Canelo. Nope. And I thought that was brilliant advice, because no matter how you want to spin it, you can spin it and say he was saying that because he knows that Canelo gets close decisions, or he could have been saying that because he understands that Canelo's technique is A+ just as well as Jacobs is. So if you want to leave it up to the judge's discretion over 2 A+ fighters, that's not a great way to end 12 rounds and what seemed to be a sparring match for a lot of the time. And the times that Jacobs let his hands go, he looked good. Granted, he was still getting caught, but when you're fighting someone that's is as calculated, as smart, and as precise as Canelo, you're gonna get caught every now and then. So that does lead me to say, did he feel something that he didn't like when he got touched in there?
And possibly because that he felt like he got like he felt like he got something, like he get hit with something. He kept his poker face, and he was like, "Never again. I don't want that again."
Yeah. And the other thing as well was, I expected him to move a little bit more, and Canelo's body punching is, I think he's the best body puncher in the game. I think off the top of my head, he's the best body puncher that I've seen since Miguel Cotto was on the rise. The way he works the body really, really neutralizes people, and you see him start to set feints with it. If you remember, me and you were texting each other as the fight was going on, and it was round 2, and I told you he was going to catch Jacobs with a big right hand. And I don't think the right hand ever came, but he did throw it a couple of times, and he landed a few, but I was expecting him to land a little bit more flush. The reason why I thought that was going to happen was because he kept throwing left hooks to the body. And what he did on one of the left hooks was he stopped early, so he threw a feint, and Jacobs' hands both went down. And because of that, I thought he was going to set up a left hook to the body and come back over the top with a big right hand. Granted, like I said, it didn't really happen, but you can see him setting guys up for certain shots as a fight goes on. So it becomes almost a puzzle having to fight Canelo Alvarez. And I think that's why he's starting to have that Floyd Mayweather effect on people, where even if he's not throwing 50, 60, 70, 80 punches around,
right.
it's
why don't you just bull rush him? But no, I mean, that's
right. That's what I mean. He's right, and I think it's because he's setting you up for that. He's throwing feints early. He's hitting you. He's touching you to the body. He's doing little things that are making people tentative because they don't know what the hell is going to come off of these feints. You know what I mean? Like his IQ has gotten so high that I mean, he's become fun, very fun to watch, man. I know some people are finding him a little bit more boring, but at the end of the day, man, it takes 2 to tango. When you're talking about a pure counterpuncher like Canelo, if you're going to go in there and try and have a chess match with him, it's not going to be a Rock'em Sock'em Robots type of fight. The entertaining fights are going to be against the guys like Triple G, who are going to come in and keep stalking and eat these punches to try and win their own. If you fight guys like Lara, if you fight guys like, the way Danny Jacobs fought, it's just not going to be entertaining. Oh, well, it was entertaining to me, but to those who are looking for all
high IQ fighters rarely have fights drag out, knockout fights like that. You look at Ward, You look at Floyd, you just look at these guys that just have high, like Bernard Hopkins. You look at these guys that have high IQs. Their fights are rarely like that because they understand how to beat you without taking punishment. Right. But they damn sure know how to tactfully dish it out.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that wraps everything up. I guess we can touch on the southpaw point, and I'll tell you what I thought. You can say what you thought, and then we can kind of talk about what's next for each fighter. But I didn't like Danny Jacobs going southpaw. And it's not because he's not a good switch hitter, but it was because it seemed like Canelo was expecting it, and every time it happened, he didn't even set it up. It was just a straight right hand. He didn't jab before. He didn't work the body. He just kept throwing straight right hands right through the pipe. And I think it was Sergio Mora who commented on it, and it was one of the only times that the commentating I thought was good. And what he said was, the thing you have to think about when you're switching stances is not only are you giving your opponent a different look, it's a totally different look for you now on defense. And every straight right hand that Canelo threw when he was in the southpaw position landed clean. And it was like, not only are you dealing with a technician in there who lands clean, sharp shots that wins him rounds, now you're giving him his best punch. He's a right-handed fighter, and you're leaving his best punch wide open for judges to continue to give him rounds. It didn't make sense to me.
I mean, you cleared that up. Like, I'll jump on next. I'll jump next on what I want for next for them. It's simple, bro. It's simple. Look, I want to like they was talking about Danny moving up.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing Danny at 168. It's competition there. It's fights there. I wouldn't mind seeing him move up and see if they help him a little bit, because I as you get older, it gets kind of hard to start making that weight more often. So him moving up, why not? Why not him go up there? We can get if both of them, rear ass is still there.
Callum Smith would be a solid fight.
Yeah, he was next. We like get fighting some of those guys. Those would be great fights up there for him. But Canelo, listen, I when you get as big as Canelo, I get it. You don't need belts. You make the belts look good, especially because you got to pay the sanctioning fee. You know what I mean? You got to pay them fees. You make the belts look good and say this guy got it. But why not? Well, guys don't try to. They don't try to get all of the belts nowadays. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you rarely see guys saying, "I'm going to be undisputed." You rarely see that. I want to see it. Do it, Canelo. I mean, I'm on the board of Canelo. Canelo, go get all them titles if you can. If you can, because listen, Boo Boo, hey, listen, that kid, he can box his butt off. So I'm not saying that he will 100% go take it, but go try for it. Definitely go try to get all of those titles, and then you could talk about the Callum Smith or him wanting to fight Kovalev, saying he'll fight Kovalev, all of that stuff. Then you can do whatever you can do those fights, because those fights gonna still be there. They ain't going nowhere. But get all of the titles. Say, hey, you know what? I got every title in my division. I cleaned it out. I fought the Boogeyman, Triple G, not once, but twice, maybe 3 times. I got all of the titles. I can do what I want. I don't owe anybody anything. That's what I want to see from both of them next.
Yeah, and I'm not mad at that. I want to quickly Google how old Bubu Andrade is, because I actually had a similar point, but a little bit different. So Bubu's 31. Prime fighters are usually, their prime years are 28 to 33, but he was a little inactive, a few years ago. So I think he has a lot more years in the tank with him. He has a lot more tread on those tires. So with that being said, as much as I want to see the fight, I think that can wait a little bit. And I think it can wait because I do want to see Triple G Canelo 3. The reason that I do is because, you still have these detractors who say that Triple G won both fights. And there's a case for it. I certainly thought Triple G won the first fight, and I thought Canelo won the second, but there's a case that Triple G won both. That being said, I just feel like it's built for it. Triple G goes to the fight. He says, "I see no heart. I see these guys spar in the ring for 12." He's looking for one more payday. He has a new trainer. Let's get that knocked out of the way. Triple G's 37 years old. Realistically, that's the last big fight we're going to see him in. And I also think Canelo can put a stamp on this third win, because I would solidly favor him in the third fight. I favored Triple G in the first fight, and because the rematch didn't happen immediately, I slightly favored Canelo, which that's what happened. So going into the third one, Triple G's getting older. So I think you put your stamp, you cement that, you get that out of the way. And also, but to a different point as well, why I want that to happen is because I want Boo Boo to get me one not necessarily career defining, but just one thing that you can throw on a highlight reel that you can say, this is why I got Canelo in May of 2020. You know what I mean? I want that, just that stamp, that one, like think of the and it doesn't even have to be like necessarily the best competition, but like before Tim Bradley fought Manny Pacquiao, and all throughout the promo, it's Tim Bradley saying, "Yeah, Manny, tear this wall down. I'm here. I'm here now. Tear it down." I need something, even if it's a soundbite. Give me something where Boo Boo is just out there like, because after the fight, he's like, "Oh, I thought Jacobs did enough to win. I can do a little bit because I'm southpaw." It didn't sound to me like a dude who, I'm not saying he doesn't want the fight, but it didn't sound like someone who was hyping the fight. Give me something that's gonna, you know what I mean? That's gonna bring that fight a little bit higher than it would be.
I I feel like if you look at it for Canelo, you got to look at it like this: who Canelo don't need anybody right now.
Right.
So who has what I want? That's just
and it's a fair point.
Something I want. Yeah, the fans want Triple G3, but who has something that's worth my while? Triple G fight gonna be there as long as Triple G still boxing, because Triple G always gonna want that fight.
Right.
Now, Andrade could lose that title. He could lose the title because he's fighting somebody. So he can lose that title his next fight, and then now you got to fight a nobody for it. You know what I mean? To get that belt, now you got to be the so and so for that title. Or you can be the guy with a little bit known name that Andrade do have, because now Andrade is a 2-time champion, 2 different weight classes. You see what I'm saying? So that's just how I look at it, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I think we both have fair points. Realistically, those are the two options that I want next for Canelo. I'm not, for his next fight in September, I'm really not interested in him fighting anybody else. I think it's either Boo Boo or Triple G. If we get anyone else, unless you move up to 168 and go for, a title there again, I guess. But I mean, those are the two shoe-in easy fights to make. Bold fight on days, and let's get it done. To quickly touch on Danny Jacobs, I do hope he hops up to 168, because I felt bad for him that, he was 3 pounds over the next day limit. And I don't think he did it on purpose. I legitimately don't. What he said made sense to me. He said, "You know what? I weighed in, I rehydrated, went to sleep, woke up the next day. I'm 173 at this point. Like, I don't want to train again. I don't want to lose. If it was a pound, sure, maybe 3 pounds. That's a ton for the night you're fighting. Right. So I don't blame him. I just think he outgrew the division. I think it's time for him. I think he can continue to make 160, but for career longevity, he's gonna have, his career will last longer if he stops shedding that extra 8 pounds and he stays up there. And I think he's big enough to do it. He's a big middleweight.
I agree.
So I think giving him a soft touch next at 168 and then throwing him in there against one of the title holders, I think would be a perfect thing for him. Cool.
I don't disagree against that.
Yeah, I think we touched on everything. Canelo Jacobs. I know we have a little bit more on the docket. I do want to say, we can go here. Scale of 1 to 10, how shocked were you that it was announced that Spence and Porter isn't going to be on pay-per-view?
This thing. I was shocked because I thought they was going to try to go for the money, but I'm relieved. I'm happy. You want to know why?
Right.
Because most of these fights don't deserve to be pay-per-view.
I agree. No, you're preaching to the choir.
I was like, when Crawford Khan was pay-per-view, I was like, why?
Yeah, it was awful.
You know what I mean? Why? These guys haven't earned pay-per-view rights yet. And I love the fact that you say, you know what? Let's throw this on here. Let's throw this on there. Let these guys fight each other enough. Then once the clear define that I am the king of this division, then you can pay-per-view them all day. Crawford versus Spence pay-per-view. Spence versus Thurman pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nothing against Porter. I love Porter.
I do too. We interviewed him. We love Porter.
It's not there. It
doesn't
have to be.
I think, and you know what? For me, I was very surprised too, but I'm in the same boat as you because I was very excited about it. And for 2 reasons. One, obviously, I don't think it's a pay-per-view fight. But 2, I do think this is setting up Spence for a huge fight either at the end of 2019 or the beginning or like the first quarter of 2020. Because what this tells me is that Pacquiao Thurman it sounds like it's all but ready to go. And that's going to be a pay-per-view, and I think name-wise it's rightfully so. So what they're doing is they're going to give Spence one last chance to get on Fox or CBS or wherever programming they're going to put him on to get the most eyes on him. So when he fights the winner of that, that's even bigger. And I think that's a brilliant strategy. I think that's the way to go because in today's day and age, it takes two people to really have a successful pay-per-view. There's no longer the days where people buy pay-per-views just for one guy.
Right.
It takes two. It takes the fight itself to do it. Maybe Canelo. Canelo might be the only guy at this point because of his huge Mexican backing that, people are going to buy it no matter who he. But again, he's on DAZN, so you're just you have a streaming service with that. But I was happy for it. I felt a little bit bad though for Porter because it did sound like he was pretty excited to be on pay-per-view as the talk started.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks for him, but Al Heyman's a good business guy. He treats his fighters right, so I think he's gonna give Porter a pretty penny, whether it's on pay-per-view or not.
When he won't pay-per-view bad, win this fight.
That and though, if you want pay-per-view bad, you dominate someone like Ugas. That's not a controversial fight. You know what I mean? Yeah. You put your stamp on that going into the Spence fight. To that point.
Right. And if he win this fight, his next fight would almost have to be pay-per-view. Because now if he beats Spence, he's only gonna fight one or three people. He's gonna one or two people because he'll fight the winner of, let's say, if Thurman, Pacquiao happen. He'll fight the winner of that, or he'll fight Crawford. And either one of those will be a pay-per-view fight if he beats Spence.
Well, let me ask you this though: what if you think Danny Garcia is a pay-per-view fight?
Danny Garcia versus Porter 2?
Yeah.
No.
No. I'm sorry. You were talking about Porter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those would be. I thought you were saying Spence. I thought you were saying. No, that makes sense. What about Spence Garcia? Is Spence Garcia a pay-per-view, Danny?
Is Spence Garcia pay-per-view? I wouldn't make it pay-per-view. No.
Oh man, I don't. That's a close one though.
Danny looked good his last fight, but will I make him pay-per-view versus, because this is the thing. It's a clear, like, okay, for me, pay-per-view got to be when it's a fight that nobody don't know who wins. It's a high magnitude. Two top name guys. You know what I mean? That's when he's pay-per-view. It's pay-per-view when you got two. When you take two superstars. When you take Wilder, right. AJ. When you take Spence, Crawford. Danny doesn't have a title. Danny has 2 losses against 2 top welterweights. So if you take Danny and put Spence, you're dependent on Spence to really hold the card, saying, "Hey, you're selling Spence at that point. You're not selling Danny." See what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I guess what I was assuming was that Danny's gonna get in there with someone in his next fight that can maybe propel it. But no, at this point, I agree. Let's stick in the welterweight division because your boy, and we talked about him last week, man. Your boy he's beating up on these 140-pound fighters, and he said, "Hey, these boys at 140 can't fuck with me." He has that funny Louisiana accent. These boys I told y'all these boys at 140 can't fuck with me. So now he's saying that Spence better get strapped in because he's ready to come up there and take over 147 as well. I know we touched a little bit and said that we're not too sure how Regis Prograis, his body type, would translate adding those extra 7 pounds, but that could be a potential fight in 2020. What are your initial thoughts? What do you think about it?
Well, I love to analyze and jump into it when one guy calls not calling out, but when one guy uses another guy's name and say, "Hey, I'm ready for this." The boxing side of me want to jump like, "Oh man, that's a great dynamic," but then I want to say, "Hold on, slow down, hold your horses. You got 140 problems. Hold on, you still got guys down there that you still got Maurice Hooker and guys down there that you got to deal with first."
Right.
So I love his confidence because that lets me know that he think that he can not just beat all the 140 guys, but he think he got enough power to compete with the big boys at 147. Now, let's say he does what I think he's gonna do, which is he's gonna run through 140. What you do is we gotta throw him in there. Let's throw him in against one of those guys at 147 to see what he really got first. Because I want to know. I want to know. I want to know a few things. Does his power translate? Does it move up with him? Right. Can he take a punch from one of the 147?
That's the biggest. That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
That's what I want to know. So before I got excited when I was hitting it, but Dennis like, hold on, calm down, fan Dennis.
Yeah.
Fan Dennis, calm down. Use the logical thinking cap.
Right.
Can he take it?
And seeing that was the biggest thing going into the Errol Spence fight for Mikey Garcia that I didn't like. I'm not a fan of hopping, especially hopping more than one division and going against a top 3 or even for him a top 1 guy, because you're not used to being like, people say, oh, I spar with 106. Sparring is not the same. It's you have to get in there and really feel the power, feel the physicality. Can you handle that? And to your point, I would love for him to go up to 147 once he's done with the World Boxing Super Series at 140, that tournament, because like I said, I'm 98% sure he's going to win it. But who would be the guy, like the litmus test for him? Because like the guys that people would fight before were like your Devin Alexanders, your Andre Bertos, your Paulie Malignaggi's, but they're not here anymore. Your Lamont Petersons, even, like, who could he go up against at 147 to like test that it's going to be a good enough fight for him to, he'll still be favored, but a good enough fight for him to know he belongs at 147? Who could that be?
No, that's a good question. Because those guys, well, some of those, I think Devin Alexander's still there. You got Victor Ortiz still there. But
it's tough, right? Like, I feel like those guys don't really exist right now.
They are there, but they're not there like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
maybe a guy like Ugas. Maybe you take a physical fight.
You pick my brother. Maybe put him in there against the Ugas,
or even Sean Porter.
Put him in there against one up. Just not saying somebody that's tough at 147 that can show, hey, I do belong here. Oh, you know who you could put him in there. He looked really great against Keith Thurman. Josecito.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Josecito Lopez, scrappy, man. He gonna fight anybody.
That's a good one. He slipped my mind. Yeah, no, that's good. I'm excited for Regis program. And here's your boy.
Real deal. These are boys that 140 cannot fuck with me. I am the best, and I'm gonna keep proving it. That dude that's a tough ass dude. He never been stopped. He barely even never lost, and I fucking just dominated the whole time. Stopped him.
Talk your shit, Regis. I love that shit. I love it.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I love that he was talking his shit, but he wasn't being disrespectful after the fight. Disrespect for the fight, I'm all for it. I do think there are boundaries. I wouldn't bring up people's kids, wives. That's you don't. But like, the disrespect is cool with me. But he's like, hey, I just fucked this man up, and he's one of the toughest dudes in the division. He gave him props while saying, hey, I still dominate. I loved it. I thought it was great. But cool. So let's go. I actually want to play another clip to get into our next topic. With the Jermell Charlo and Tony Harrison fight coming up. I don't know if you saw the clip. Did you see the clip of the press conference? Yeah. So I want to play it for everybody else. And I thought this was hilarious because I've had similar sentiments when it comes to the Charlo twins. But I also I have a few questions for you in regards to as well. So here it is for everybody.
Y'all listen to this cornball. This thing is a cornball. And all the people that I look at all the people that say, oh, I'm a Lions. I'm a Lions only motherfucking guy. They like this cornball. This thing is a fucking cornball. He's a fucking cornball. You a corny motherfucker. You got on that bill. Oh my God, I don't want to play games because I don't like to lose. Shut the fuck up, you fucking cornball. He's a fucking cornball. Who the fuck says some shit like that? He's a cornball, man. I swear to God, man, look.
So that was, for those, I didn't get the video on the screen. I got the audio as best I could for you guys. That was Tony Harrison going off on Jermell Charlo, calling him a cornball. And to a degree, I kind of agree with him. Some of the things that Jermell had said afterwards, like, I don't play games because I don't like to lose. It was like, bro, like, relax. Like, you're coming off super corny here. And that's no disrespect to Charlo because he can fight. He's a good fighter. I actually thought he beat Tony Harrison in the first fight. But what do you well for me, let me tell you this. I love the hyping of this fight. I think Tony Harrison has nothing to lose in this rematch. I really don't think he does. So I love it. When you saw the clip, what did you think? What did you think about it?
I laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off, and then I was like, you know what? I love that because they always you always see those boys going off from everybody. Like, remember they was even getting that Tank at one time. He weighed a few divisions below them. So they always going off on everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it feels good to see somebody flip the roles like, man, listen, I ain't about to listen to you talk shit this whole time. I'm about to get at your head. You corny and you a cornball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. Like, talk that talk. Because they showed it to everybody else. So I don't have no sympathy for, you know what I'm saying, somebody going at their head like that. And that's how I was laughing at it. I actually posted it. I posted
Oh, did you? I didn't see it. I saw it on Twitter. That's funny. I didn't realize that you posted it.
Yeah, I thought that's what you said that because I posted on the page and I was just dying laughing like, go at their head, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Look, you want to claim you Lions only, but Lions only don't whine when they lose.
Right.
A lion come back, you know what I'm saying? No, a lion come back furious. You accept this, even if you thought you didn't lose, you accept the defeat and you come back and you bite his head off. You got
some scars on the battlefield and you're ready to come back to the jungle.
Yeah,
if you're a lion, right?
You come back, you bite his head off and say, I showed you I was a lion, you know what I mean?
So, but let me ask you this. Did you see the video of them? Jermell was getting interviewed after this press conference. Did you see that video?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Man, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. Jermell, I think his confidence is really low right now. Because they asked him, I forget the exact question, but they were basically like, hey, what do you think about the trash talk? Like, he is saying, like, you talked a lot of shit before the fight, yada, yada, like, you're lying. And then Jermell, like, in this tone I've never seen him take, but usually he I don't think he's on coke, but he kind of comes across like he's coke. He's like, hey, the Lions only, and he gets real. He was just like, hey, man, you know, I've been that's just always been me. I don't know no other way. I just talk and I hype myself up. He sounded like so low on himself to the point that who is why am I blanking on his name? Floyd Mayweather's right hand man, Leonard Ellerbe. Leonard Ellerbe came to him and he's like, hey, man, talk your shit. Like, don't let anyone distract you. And then Jermell was like, yeah, man, that's the only way I know. I'm going to keep doing. But he sounded like so down on himself. Granted, I didn't see, it was like a 2-minute clip, so I didn't get the most context from it. But I was just like, I may, depending on what the odds are, I may toss a little bit of money on Tony Harrison on this rematch because I don't like what I don't like what I'm seeing out of Jermell.
That's what all fights that lose and they come back and become champions again. They always say a loss defines you better than win.
Yeah,
it shows you who you are. If you can come back from that, if you're mentally strong enough to say, hey, that happened this time, it won't happen again. A loss can define you more than your wins because you find out who you truly are.
You also find out, though, I know one of the biggest things that Andre Ward used to talk about is that you know when guys are front runners and guys who can handle adversity. Mm-hmm. And he would constantly describe Sergey Kovalev as a guy who's a front runner. When things are going his way, it's great. It's perfect. You're the best fighter in the world, or one of them. When it's not, when you get that adversity, you kind of start tucking your tail in because you're used to being the bully.
Right.
And from what I see right now, granted, maybe I'm putting too much stock in this. They're not in the ring and they're not fighting. But from what I'm seeing, this body language and the way Jermell Charlo may be a front runner type of guy. He may be that bully who, once he gets punched in the face, don't know what to actually do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it I'll say this as well. I was never as high on Jermell as I was on Jamal. I always liked Jamal better as a fighter. But yeah, I think you're right. I think, was that a Muhammad Ali or Sugar Ray Leonard quote where it's like, you don't know what you had, you don't know who a fighter is until they lose. Like you know who was that Leonard who said that?
I think it was Sugar Ray.
Yeah, and he was just like, you, like these guys that are getting these championship fights at 16 pro, their 16th pro fight. We don't even know who they are yet. They haven't lost the fight yet. Like, you need to lose
Yeah.
first and go back to. And I was like, man, like I think that's a great way to look at things. So this is his moment right now. This is Jermel's moment to be like, this is actually who I am. And now we're gonna pick up the pieces and continue to move forward.
For sure. What about okay? We can moving on. We could talk about the Carlos Takim. I don't know if it's Takim. I might be saying it wrong. Versus Usyk. I heard now that got they postponed it because Usyk has a bicep injury.
Yeah, he tore a bicep.
Now I gotta say this, man. It's like I was telling you this. I think the zone. I don't know. They need to make. I think when they charge us $20, because I'm one of the guys that pay it. I think they got cursed, and it's like, oh, you charging more money? You know what I'm saying? You charging more
Yeah.
money now. Your product's nothing you do gonna go right. You know what I'm saying? They got the color purple. Until you do right by me, everything you do is gonna fail. They got the color purple curse on them, bro. Because they had
Man.
Joshua. Now they got this. Now Devin Haney is supposed to be taking over. And this thing, I want to talk about that. Devin Haney. I think this is good for Haney because he's the future champion. I know he is. I
Yeah,
can
oh,
see it.
agreed.
I want to know, can he hold a card by himself? Now, granted, I think they need to stick somebody else on there with him, so he doesn't have to carry the whole card. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just not, I'm coming to see a Devin Haney fight and that's it. They need
Right.
to throw somebody else on there. But I want to see, is he marketable yet to become a main attraction, a main event, because he will be a future champion and he
Yeah.
will have to hold, and he will be the main attraction, and he will have to hold it by himself, hold it down. I want to see if he can hold it down by himself. I want because it's more to boxing than just being a good fighter. You
Yeah,
could be
oh,
a great fighter
100%
and
true.
have no appeal, and just, you know what I mean. Like how many times have we seen champions that are title holders, but they couldn't sell. No, they couldn't sell water to a person in the desert, and it's like yo, what can I
Yeah.
do with you?
Yeah, no, you hit that point on the head, and that wasn't even something that came across my mind. The one thing that I had, that I thought of when that first got announced that Alexander Usyk tore his bicep was Dazen just has bad luck, and not only does Dazen have bad luck, Anthony Joshua has the worst luck of them all because not only did the two fighters that he can get his biggest payday against and are probably the biggest fights in boxing, did they have such a close fight to some, without splitting hairs here, because I did think Fury won that fight, but just for what it was, they drew, and now no one really wants to see them in against AJ now because we want to see the rematch, so that kind of negates that fight. But then they also had this Alexander Usyk fight on the horizon because he dominated cruiserweight. He looked like he is one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. And it was like, oh well, if we don't get that, we can at least see what Usyk is at heavyweight, and then they can fight. And boxing ability wise, he's probably better than Joshua, so it'll be a good fight. And now he tears his bicep, so he's out at least. Probably for until at least December. I would assume with the surgery and the rehab. So like Joshua is like shit out of luck right now, and not to
Yeah,
mention Big Baby Miller dropping out of the fight. So now he's fighting Andy Ruiz Jr., who it's going to be an entertaining fight, but it's not going to be a close fight. Like, yeah, they have really really bad luck right now, and I'm curious to see what they do to try to make up for this. I would assume that they're going to up their offer to Deontay Wilder or try to make something happen with that. That adds more urgency to get that fight done, I think.
yeah. That's their only play unless they can get the Fury fight. And I just seen that right now WBC made the eliminator. They ordered the eliminator for Dillian White and Fury for the
Yeah,
WBC title, and the winner gets the Wilder fight. So it's like now because we wanted to see Fury again, but
yeah,
since the WBC may be putting White versus Fury, that may be coming up next. So that leaves Wilder open. So it's like, yo, you got to get that. You got to get that fight. You got to strike where the iron is hot.
yeah.
I would expect Hearn to come with everything trying to get that fight. And Hearn is a smart, savvy business guy, man. I believe he can get it done. I believe if he says, you know what, let's put our egos aside, let's get this fight. Listen, if Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao was able to make it, like, you know what I mean, like they had lawsuits against each other and everything. Bro, if they can make a fight, you can make a fight, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I think to the specific point of the actual fight, I was pretty disappointed because I was really looking forward to Usyk's debut at heavyweight, especially against someone like Takam, who is super tough. I mean, this dude is probably the most durable guy in the division. He got stopped against Joshua, but it was a bad stoppage. He really didn't get hit with too much clean against him. He's one of those guys that isn't going to beat anyone at the world level, but kind of to our point, that's what I'm saying. To our point, with Regis Prograis moving up to 147, who could be that litmus test? Takam is that litmus test, and that was the perfect fight for Usyk to see what he really has at heavyweight. So I was pretty disappointed. Hopefully they can just get it right back on either later this year or early next year. Just, set a new date for the fight and go from there. I think that would be the most beneficial for both parties.
I agree.
Yeah, I think, so that was everything that, we had planned to touch on here today. Do you have anything that popped in your mind, or should we just wrap this one up?
I talked about everything I wanted to talk about.
Cool.
We can wrap it up, and next time, same place, same station. We're gonna keep consistent, keep giving you more fire.
Yeah, no, and like I said at the beginning of the episode, guys, we're on iTunes, we're on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram at Outside the Squared Circle. You can like us on Facebook, Outside the Squared Circle. I know I've been more consistent here with the Instagram. Dennis mainly handles the Facebook, but that's a little bit more of our lanes each. But any way that you guys can reach out to us, whether it's comments on any of those platforms, whether it's the Facebook or Instagram, let us know things that you want to talk about or you want us to talk about. We can go from there. So thank you guys for listening. Remember to subscribe on all platforms or whatever platform you're listening on right now. We will see you guys next time.